but I did finish it on Wednesday or Tuesday, one of them. I think it was Tuesday. Hey guys, it's Cassara, and today I have for you my February week 3 reading vlog. February 17th, and I just got back from work, so I didn't get any physical reading done today yet because obviously I was at work, I didn't have any time, but I did listen to a lot of audio. Last night I came really close to DNFing Black Leopard Red Wolf because that book is just so frustrating at times. It's so disjointed. I have zero connection to any of the characters, and I don't even know what's going on in the plot sometimes, but what made me hesitate was the audiobook. The audiobook is just so unique in comparison to all other audiobooks. The voice is so specific. I love the writing and how it's done, all of like the word choices and stuff like that. And the narrator is phenomenal. I love this audiobook narrator. But I got the audiobook of Beartown, and I was just so frustrated with Black Leopard Red Wolf that I started the audiobook for Beartown. And I really like it. I'm very, very invested in it already. But I wanted to finish Black Leopard Red Wolf first because I wanted to finish the audiobook. I felt like the audiobook was just so well produced that I needed to give it like my all. And if I returned it to the library, there are like 21 other people waiting for this audiobook right now. So it would take a really long time to get back around to me. And I don't think it's one that I would like to buy. So I decided to just try and make my way through the audiobook and just like stick it out to the end and finish the book. So I spent all day listening to it, like pretty much all day. And the last chapter that I just listened to, chapter 19, I finally got super into it. Chapter 19 is so powerful on audio. I don't know how the physical book looks like, but on audio, I was just like clutching my heart in chapter 19. So really liking Black Leopard Red Wolf right now. I'm like, chapter 19, mind you, is like 75% into the book. So like, I got 3/4 into this book before I started like getting into it. But right now, I'm like really, really into it. I still want to get to Beartown, but there's only like 5 hours left for Black Leopard Red Wolf, so I'll probably finish that one tomorrow and then really start Beartown because I'm like on chapter 3 or something like that. So I've listened to a little bit of Beartown, but not a whole lot. For physical books, like I said, I haven't done any reading yet, but I have The Bear and the Nightingale, and I plan to continue on with this tonight. I did read a little bit of this yesterday, and it was very interesting. I started getting really attached to these characters yesterday, mostly though because they reminded me a lot of some of the Game of Thrones characters. Like, don't take this the wrong way. Not all of Game of Thrones, just a very narrow part of Game of Thrones, specifically the North and the Stark family. Some of the characters, like the family in this book, reminds me of the Stark family because we have the older brother named Kolya, which is a little bit like Robb Stark because he gets married and stuff like that. Nothing bad's happened to him yet, so I don't know, but he reminds me of Robb Stark and just like the way he is. And then we have Sasha, who's the second oldest brother, and Sasha moves away from the family to become a monk. So he's gonna be fighting to like protect his family, but like from afar, and he's not gonna be able to get married or have children or anything like that. And his father does not agree with his decision, so he actually disowns him. So he's kind of like the brother that is away that is not really part of the family anymore. So he's kind of like Jon Snow in that aspect. And then we have Olga, who is the oldest daughter, who's kind of a lady, and she gets betrothed, and she's going south to get married, and so she's like Sansa, very much like Sansa. And then we have Alyosha, who is the younger boy who is a little bit wild, likes to play and run and all of that. So he reminds me of Bran, like at the very beginning of A Game of Thrones, when Bran liked to climb and all of that, and he wanted to be a knight. He reminds me of Bran. And then of course we have our main character, Vasilisa, who is kind of like her slightly older brother. She likes to play and she likes to run. She's always covered in mud. She likes to go outside. She likes to climb trees and stuff like that. So she reminds me so much of Arya. So like just like the setup of this book and the family. I'm getting really attached to them, so I'm really excited to continue on with it tonight. Hey guys, it's Kasara. It is Thursday, February 21st, and I haven't checked in with you guys since Sunday. Main reason for that is I haven't been reading at all. Like literally since Sunday, I haven't picked up, even on Sunday, I didn't pick up a physical book this whole time until this morning. During that time, I did listen to audiobooks. So I've listened to a little bit more of Beartown, but I kind of focused most of my attention on Black Leopard, Red Wolf, because I really wanted to finish it so that I could return it to the library so other people can get to it, because I wasn't enjoying it that much. It was only 6 hours, but it took me all week to read, even though it was an audiobook. Like I should have been able to get that done in one day. Like I get more than 6 hours done in one day most days that I work. So it took me a while and it took a lot of brain power from me. So I just wasn't in a reading mood. I think that book might have been the reason I was in a slump last week, because I kind of felt that a little bit this week as well. I did finish the book on Tuesday and I'm torn with this book. I'm still don't exactly know how I feel. I am going to do a full review video on this, so you can get more of my thoughts and feelings on it there, but it might take me a little while to get that up because I still don't fully know what to feel about this book, because like the first 2/3 of this book for me were extremely frustrating and I didn't enjoy it and I didn't know where it was going. I didn't care for any of the characters. I didn't know where the plot was going, and it's just very graphic and violent. It wasn't something that I was really enjoying, except for the fact that it was an audiobook, and the audiobook is phenomenal. I love the audiobook. The writing definitely lends itself very well to the audiobook, just the way that it's written. It's almost written like poetry, and the audiobook narrator did such a good job. It's the most unique audiobook that I've listened to, and it was definitely a great experience in that aspect. But as content-wise, the first 2/3 of the book I didn't enjoy. The last third of the book, I really did enjoy the content. But for me, I can't like forget the first 2/3 of the book because I like the last third, if that makes sense. Like chapter 19, I think I talked about this in my last vlog, was one of the best audiobook chapters that I've ever listened to, but you can't base the book off of one chapter. So I ended up giving it 3 stars because I feel very strongly positively about this book and I feel very strongly negatively about this book also. So I ended up like going right down in the middle. In the end, the writing kind of like pushed it on the higher end, is why I gave it 3 stars rather than like 2.5 stars or 2 stars. It's a difficult one. Honestly, wouldn't recommend this book to most people. There are some people that I think would love this book. I don't think a general audience will like this book. So that's the reason why it's only 3 stars for me. It took a lot of brain power for me, and I'm like in reading slumps after that because of that. But I did get out of the reading slump today. This morning I decided to pick up A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I just needed a fast-paced book. Like I needed a fast-paced book. I wanted some romance in my book. I wanted something nice and happy in my book. That's what I wanted. I wanted something nice and happy. And this book delivers. I finished this book today, by the way. I started it and finished it in one day. Like, Bridget Kemmerer is 3-0 for me because all of her books I have finished, like, within 48 hours of starting them. She only has 3 books out. I really, really enjoyed this book. It is a modern Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's following 2 characters. So the first one is Harper, and she is from our modern world. And the second one is Prince Ren, who is the Beast, obviously. He lives in a castle with only his commander of the guard to serve him. And they live in a kingdom called Emberfall, which he's the crown prince of. At the beginning of the novel, the commander of this guard goes to DC to pick a girl for him to fall in love with, because that's what the curse is. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. If he finds true love, then the curse will be broken, and there's obviously no one there in his castle for him to fall in love with, so his guard has to go find girls for him and take them to the castle, and hopefully that they'll fall in love with him. That's what this book is about, and it was fantastic. I really loved it. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I didn't give it 5 stars, even though I've given her other books 5 stars. Not because it's not as good as her other books. I think it's just as good. I've actually probably enjoyed it more than her other books, but that's mostly because I love fantasy. But I have to rate this based off of how I would rate fantasy books. And with fantasy books, things like villains and stuff like that, I definitely expect more out of, which you don't really get villains in romantic contemporaries, which is the other genre that she writes in. So I definitely really enjoyed this, even more than her other books, but for me, it was only 4.5 stars. So I might have mentioned this last week, but I feel like when I'm using my brain a lot for reading, I have to like have a palate cleanser of books that I don't have to use my brain as much for. Last week I read Life and Death for that reason, and it was the only book that I read like towards the end of the week, even though towards the end of the week I usually read a lot as opposed to the beginning of the week, which I usually listen to a lot of more audiobooks. But I think it was a mistake because I should have just finished Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and I think that would have just helped me along. And I also want to read, like, just for a little while, spend a little bit of time in the YA fantasy that's really romance books. So I want to spend like the next, at least today and tomorrow, reading those kinds of books. I got lucky for that because my wrapped book this week is actually one of those kinds of books. At least I think it is, because I've heard this author is pretty good at that. My wrapped book this week is The Flame in the Mist. I have not started this one yet. I considered picking this one up this morning because it was the type of book I was just looking for, but I decided to pick up A Curse So Dark and Lonely instead because I definitely wanted to read something that I knew I would like, and I was absolutely sure about that one, but I wasn't as sure about this one. But I think I'm ready for this one now because I'm a little bit more on a reading high now than I was before, and I need to get to my unwrapped book, and this seems like the type of book that I really want to read now anyway, so I'm hoping that I'll like this one. December 22nd, and last night I didn't end up reading The Flame in the Mist like I said I would. I ended up picking up Mad Ship instead by Robin Hobb, which is the second novel in the Life of Traitors series, which I really, really like. I read the first 2 chapters, and I'm not going to talk about it here because I'm vlogging this separately like I am with Caliban's War, so you'll have to watch that video if you want to know more about Mad Ship. But yeah, I always do the exact opposite of what I tell you guys I'm gonna do. I did decide to pick up The Flame in the Mist this morning. I've read the first chapter, and I'm already kind of disappointed with it. Not so much the plot, it's just YA books sometimes do this thing where they kind of have thought monologue, which really slows down the pacing of the story. And I like really fast-paced YA. The prologue of this book started out really strong. I really love the prologue of this book, but then chapter 1 was just bogged down with the thought monologue rather than with actual actions and us seeing things. It was more of the characters thinking of these things that have recently happened rather than us just watching those things happen. And I think that is kind of bothering me a little bit with this one. So I don't know how much I'm going to like this one. Hopefully, like the first 2 chapters gets over all of that and it'll get more into action afterwards. But this is my unwrapped book for the week, and I only have today and tomorrow to read it. So there are 392 pages in this book, so I have to be on page 196 in order to keep this book by tomorrow, which, I mean, should be possible. I'm currently on page right there, page 15, 14. I've been reading for like 5 minutes, so it's been nothing. I don't know if I'm gonna like this one. I hope I do, but I don't know. So it's still Friday, and I have officially given up on The Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. I got pretty far, not that far into it. I got like 46 pages into it. It's like 3 or 4 chapters that I've read so far, but I just feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over again, just phrased differently, and it's annoying the crap out of me. Like I'm 46 pages into this book, and I don't know anything new compared to the front flap of this book. Like, the summary of this book is all that I know about this, even though I'm 46 pages into this book. It just keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. It, like, in different ways, mind you, but it's annoying me. And every time I pick it up, I just feel like I'm wasting my time and I should be reading something that I really want to read, because there's so many other books that I really want to read that I'm in the middle of right now that I don't want to. I don't want to read it. This is going to be an official DNF and on haul for me for the week, which makes me really sad. It's only Friday, but I have decided to finish this vlog a day early because I'm gonna be really busy tomorrow and might not have any time to film anyway. So I'm ending the vlog a day early, and next week I'm not vlogging because I have my wrap-ups and TBRs to do next week. I've actually already kind of put together my March TBR, and it's incredibly ambitious. So I'm gonna spend most of my week just trying to finish the books that I currently have open. They're all books that I'm enjoying and want to continue on with, but I want to get them done before March because there are a lot of other books that I'm really excited for and want to get to. So for this week, I ended up finishing 2 books, which is really not great, but it's not terrible either. I finished Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. I just filmed a review for this, so that should be coming out over the course of the next few days, so you can get more opinions on that one. I was not sure what to say about that book. Some parts of that book I really loved, and other parts of it I couldn't like at all. But it was definitely an interesting read, to say the least, and it took a lot of my brain power. The other book that I finished is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This book was super fast-paced. I enjoyed myself the entire time and definitely really loved that book. So I'm currently in the middle of 6 physical books and 2 audiobooks. So the audiobooks I'm not really worried about. I can finish them. I might not finish them. I probably will finish them because I'm close to the end in both of them, but I want to at least try and make my way through a lot of the physical books. Those are the 6 physical books. You've probably heard me talk about these a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna try and finish all of these next week. I'm pretty far into a lot of them, so it won't really be like reading 6 whole books because I've already read good portions of them. So it'll be closer to reading like 4, maybe 5 books. So I think it's doable, especially since it's gonna be like my sole focus next week, and I won't be vlogging, so you guys won't be seeing like my progress through it, but I will do as much as I can. If I don't get through all of them, it's like not that big of a deal, but I do want to get through as many of them as possible because March, I'm super excited for the books that I want to get to in March because I'm doing a lot. So before we end this vlog, I do have to unwrap my book for the week. So I got the book right here. Let's see what it is. I got Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. I'm actually really happy that I got this book because you can't see it, but right behind me, I have all of Sarah Dessen's books. Like, I've read all of her books. I started when I was really little, so I've just been following her. I get through her books really quickly, and I definitely think I can read this one. I think I've actually started this one, and yep, I've started it. That's my Hershey's wrapper that I used as a bookmark. I think will be a good break from like the harder to like wrap my head around books that I'm reading next week. So I'm excited to get to this one. I'm actually really excited to get to this one. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, sometimes more than that, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. So last night, I came very close to DNFing Red Leopard. But the first one is, what's her name? Harper and Prince Ren. Okay. And they live in a kingdom called, I didn't give it 5 stars even though I've given her, but I did decide to pick up The Flame in the which way does this book go? That way. The first like part of this book, what's it called? Prologue? Yes, the prologue. There's 392 pages. I have to be on page, Alexa, what's 392 divided by 2? Alexa, what's 392 divided by 2?
392 divided by 2 equals 196.
196. So these are the 6 physical books that I am going to try and get to next week. These are the 6 physical books that I'm going to try and finish next week that I'm currently in the middle of. Well, you can't see anything. Let me turn it around. So these, so I got The Moon and More by, not The Moon and More. I got